Hey everyone, you're watching The Esperanza 243. This is Long Live Menavia Part 16. As you can see, I finally got the love seat from my dad. He's just working on the little... He's just working a little bit on the bookcase that he's making for me. And he should be able to bring it over this weekend. Pretty exciting. I actually got to see the bookcase last week. It is beautiful. It's actually the color is actually between the chest I have and the bookcase. But the downside of the half-depth shelves is that I can't put very much on them because I have a lot of DVDs and I have a lot of books. So hopefully the half-depth is worth it. Or, I mean, I'm sure it is. I hope there's enough space. So, anyways, let's get back to the reading. Alright, let's do a recap, actually, before I start reading. So, the last video ended with, Caprice having her first, or not first, have a close call of being kidnapped. She had her first close call of being kidnapped, and she was actually brave enough to get out on her own with not knowing that Senor Brujadas and one of his watchers, you know, watching over her, watching them. And then after that, we appear at Senor Baldwin's house. We appear at Senor Baldwin's house. And Caprice slightly overhears their conversation because she, you know, was trying to she was trying to wake up from her little fainting spell. And I suppose that's it. Yeah, here we are. Caprice, are you well? The Senor whispered. She took a deep breath. Her mind slowly cleared. Her mind slowly cleared. She looked at him. She smiled faintly. I feel tired. Thirsty, she whispered. Sorry. She whispered faintly. Senor Baldwin picked up a teacup filled with warm water and honey. He gave her the teacup. She took a loud, slurpy sip. Do you remember what happened? Senor Brujadas asked. The Senor gave him a look. Caprice looked at Senor Bruno. Suddenly, her mind filled her with memories of what had happened. She gasped as she turned her head slightly. I can't believe I did that. Tell me, Senor Baldwin said. What happened, Caprice? She looked at him with her brows raised. The mist is gone, she whispered with a smile. He chuckled. What made you change your mind? Oh, sorry. What made you change? She asked with curiosity. You worried me. He gave her a soft, concerned look. You almost scared me. She smiled faintly. Please. Oh, sorry. You worried me. He gave her a soft, concerned look. You almost scared me. She smiled faintly. Please, tell me what happened. She told him what happened, though she was hesitant to explain when the bit of that man kissing her came up. She didn't know how to explain that part. Senor Pujadas wanted to butt in a couple of times and add something, but he didn't. Caprice even told them the part of her conversation with the man about Princess Mariona. She didn't mention the conversation she overheard between Pujadas and him. After she finished, Senor Baldwin's eyes were wide with shock and amazement. For once, Senor Pujadas had a look of admiration. It was quiet. Caprice bit her lower lip. She looked around. They were in the foyer. She stood up from a long piece of furniture, much like a couch, but different. It was a chaise. She decided to walk around. She noticed paintings here and there. When she got close to the wall of her true family's portraits, Senor Baldwin hesitated. He walked up to her. Senor Bruno Pujadas placed a hand on his shoulder to stop him. She may not connect it, he whispered to his friend. She needs to know, though. Senor Baldwin sighed and agreed with him. Caprice reached the wall of the portraits. She admired the second and third paintings, Princess Mariona and Prince Frederic. She saw the resemblance between her and the princess. She smiled in respect. She's pretty, she said. She looked at Prince Frederic. He was handsome. She realized she skipped a portrait and looked at the first painting. The cloak looked familiar. She saw the woman's face and gasped. That was the woman who talked to me, she whispered to herself. She looked back and forth from the woman to Princess Mariona. They resemble. Wow. She must be the princess's mother. She turned to Senor Baldwin. He stepped forward. Is something the matter? Where can I find this woman? I want to ask her some questions. He sighed. Nobody has been able to talk to her for 14 years. Oh, the riot. I almost forgot. She must feel lonely. The Senor felt sympathy for Caprice. My dear, no one has been able to talk to her. Because she is dead. She gasped. Her face was white. How's that possible? She muttered under her breath. She felt like running out of his house, but her legs wouldn't move. She started to sway. Senor Baldwin came up to her. She looked at him. He gave her a concerned look. Is it true? She whispered. Is what true? Was Princess Mariona pregnant during the riot? She was. She closed her eyes. She gave birth during the riot. She shivered. Was it a girl? He placed a hand on her shoulder and stopped her swaying. There were twins. Her eyes opened wide and stared at him. She had the boy and the girl. Caprice was surprised and confused. What happened to them? I don't know what happened to the baby boy. She gave him worried eyes. The baby girl. She was taken outside of Menavia to be safe. Caprice turned pale. She looked around with such worry and confusion. Senor Pujadas suddenly became nervous. He took a few steps toward them. I know what happened to the baby boy, he whispered. Senor Baldwin whipped his head toward him with wide eyes. Caprice heard his neck pop. How could you know? Oh, whoops. How could you know? The senor hissed. I entered the area at an untimely moment after they were born. He gulped. Senor Chevalier took the girl. I was ordered to follow someone who took the boy. He gulped again. He's safe. He is with a loving family. How could you not tell me? The Senor Baldwin hissed, stepping toward him. I couldn't. I was sworn not to tell anyone, not until one of them grew up and became the new ruler. She is not ready, he continued hissing. She's not trained enough. Forget it, Cassius, he nearly bellowed. She already knows about Mariona and her mother. She needs to know. The next second, Caprice fainted again. Senor Baldwin looked in her direction. He gasped and ran to her. Caprice? He whispered worriedly. He put her in his arms. Your Highness, wake up, he said instinctively. His eyes closed. He rocked back and forth in her in his arms. Senor Pujadas rushed to get a servant. He came back with someone in minutes. The servant tried taking Caprice out of the senor's arms, but he wouldn't let them. But he wouldn't let her. Leave me, he said. The servant hesitated. He looked back at his old friend. Leave me! Senor Pujadas stared at him with wide eyes, almost in fear. You cannot protect her forever. You are not her father. You never will be. If you continue to do this, you'll be hiding yourself in this house longer than you intended. he turned and left the house, leaving Senor Baldwin defenseless. The Senor got up and carried Caprice to the chase she was on before. He put her down with her head on the only armrest. Then he sat down on the floor and laid his head next to his body. Tears came down his cheeks. I'm going to take a little break because I need water. Caprice eventually woke up. Senor Baldwin never spoke. He was afraid that if he did, she would ask questions or yell at him for not telling the truth. For the next few days, she didn't come for training. She pieced together what the Senor and his old friend talked about from different conversations. She figured it out, though she didn't want to believe that she was related to Princess Mariona. After 3 days of no training, she decided to go for a walk, as did Senor Baldwin. They took an absent-minded walk, neither of them realizing where they were going. Their subconscious minds were controlling their walking directions. Excuse me. Caprice walked past an empty building, not the exact one that man pulled her into, but one quite similar. Senor Baldwin was looking around as he walked through a market which was buzzing with activity. She looked around and sighed. She stopped walking. Several people looked at her. At first, it was about her dress. She had made it to look like the dress Princess Mariona wore in the portrait. They thought she looked beautiful. Then it was about her looks. People were realizing she looked a lot like the princess. And that's where I'm going to stop. And this video is actually where we get the half point of the book, which is exciting. Because from part 17 to the ending of the book, I am going to put links in the description box that leads to all my other stuff, except Facebook. Facebook is my profile. I don't want crazy amounts of people adding me. I have enough gaming friends as it is. Anyways, I will put in my Twitter, my Tumblr, my blog, and also my Story World website. My Story World website is password protected. Please do not hack it, because it has a lot of my book. It has quite a bit of my books. I'd say at least 10 of them, including the synopsis document. If you ever do want to get into my site but you don't have the password, there should be a link somewhere on the left side of some sort of paragraph. You can click on that and I'm assuming it will send me an email to send you an email of the password. So, I believe that's it. I'm going to do another recording for part 17 right after this. So it's going to be a same day recording. This is going to be fun. I believe that is it. I will talk to you in part 17. This is the Esperanza 243 signing off.
I know the sound of each rock and stone. I embrace what others fear. You are not to roam in this forgotten place.